Shalom, saints. Is Sacrifice and Faith. I hope it will spark your curiosity in learning about our Almighty Yah and to build your personal relationship with Him. Our daily prayer. Hear now and do, Yasharel. Yahuwah our Elohim. Yahuwah is one. And you shall love at Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart and all your soul and with all yourself. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Blessed are Adonai and Elohim, King of all time, for giving us the joy of Yahuwah, the beauty of Yahusha, and the blessing of the Ruach HaKodesh. In this walk, let's visit a few questions I had while I was young and reading just our Holy Bible. What happened on Mount Moriah? When I was young, I read the Bible and often wondered what else was going on Mount Moriah when Yahuwah asked Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. Also, would I have responded in the way Abraham did? Could I sacrifice my young child that I had with my wife in my elder years? In the past few years, I began my own journey reading and researching other literature, like the book of Jasher. In this book, we are given a glimpse of Satan's shenanigans. Did you know his involvement in this event? I often wonder how Sarah felt about this, since Isaac had been very precious to her. Let's remember Psalm 37, saints.
Do not fret because of those who are evil, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass they will soon wither, like green plants they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will do this. He will make your righteous reward shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord, and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity. The wicked plot against the righteous and gnash their teeth at them, but the Lord laughs at the wicked.
Jasher chapter 23, verse 1 and 2 reads, At that time the word of Yahuwah came to Abraham, and he said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. And he said to him, Take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou lovest, even Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which shall be shown to thee, for there wilt thou see a cloud and the glory of the Yahuwah. In the book of Jasher, we are giving honey added to our milk. In other words, we are giving a little more information that is important in many ways. For now, I would like to focus on a few things here. 1. The name Moriah is Hebrew, and its meaning is Yahuwah is my teacher. For here Yah will test Abraham, and the events that aspire from this test show us another glimpse of Yahuwah's character. He is teaching us who He is and why He loves Abraham so much. Notice here too that our Most High YAH is not asking Abraham to do this, but on the contrary, He commands that Abraham complies to His command to sacrifice the child. As we see both in the Holy Book and the book of Jasher that Abraham did not question his Elohim. And notice I say child because in our Holy Bible we are led to believe that Isaac is still just a young little boy. But in the future passages we will show that he is a young man. Verse 3 through 5 reads, And Abraham said within himself, How shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah his wife. And he spoke these words to her: My son Isaac is grown up, and he has not for some time studied the service of his Elohim. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem and Eber his son, and there he will learn the ways of Yahuwah. For they will teach him to know Yahuwah, as well as to know that when he prayeth continually before Yahuwah, he will answer him. Therefore he will know the way of the serving of Yahuwah his Elohim. As in all words we are given by Yahuwah via scriptures, we should always pray to him, so that we may receive the truth. Here much is given for honey to add to our milk, and I hope you may share in your thoughts what Yah provides in scripture. So for one, Abraham shows us here in verse 3 that Sarah and Isaac are very close. This closeness seems reasonable, considering Sarah was blessed by Yahuwah at 90 years of age to have her first and only child, Isaac. And we have determined that Isaac is 37 years old from previous walks. This would make Sarah 127 years old. Abraham's concern is justified, yet he is determined to do what his Elohim commands him, without question, hesitation, or judging of Yah's request. Of course, Abraham knows in his heart, who can judge the living Yah, who is the creator of all things, who gives freely and takes freely. In verse 5, I believe we are not looking at a lie that Abraham is telling Sarah, but the truth would happen later in Isaac's life. But we know that this journey isn't the time where Isaac is going to learn from the elders. So we will see later in this journey the consequences of not telling Sarah where they are going, which some say may consider a lie. Please consider this as previously noted. Abraham tells Sarah that he's taking Isaac to his forefathers Shem and Eber, so that he may learn how to service Yah. This is most likely something that Abraham was contemplating to do, since Isaac is 37 years old. Young men require education to know how to service Yahuwah, and Abraham himself spent many years with Shem and Eber when he was young to learn to please Yahuwah. Moreover, I truly cannot put no blame on Abraham to want to spare any grief for his wife Sarah. Though we will see later that the whole truth and nothing but the truth is best, and we just may need to practice on the delivery method some will call tact. Let's remember also that we have literature which only paints certain parts of a story and not the whole story. Hence Yahusha says in Matthew 7, verses 1 through 2, Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the same measure you use, it will be measured to you. For the time of judgment is not at hand yet, but it is soon to be here with us. Verse 6 reads, And Sarah said, Thou hast spoken well. Go, my lord, and do unto him as thou hast said. But remove him not at a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. Sarah says that Abraham has spoken well. Again, I have a feeling that Yahusha is working here through Sarah. Another verse we will leave open for our Yahuwah to answer. Sarah's love for Isaac is very deep. As she says here, her very soul is bound with Isaac's soul. Without any other information, we may presume that Isaac has never left Sarah's side in any great amount of time until now. Verse 7 and 9 through 10 reads, And Abraham said unto Sarah, My daughter, let us pray to Yahuwah our Elohim, that he may do good with us. And she said to him, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from thee? And she still kissed him and embraced him, and she gave Abraham instructions concerning him. And Sarah said to Abraham, O my lord, I pray thee take heed of thy son, and place thine eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. It is also interesting that Abraham calls Sarah my daughter in this verse. I personally feel that the divine presence of Yahusha was with Abraham at this moment, so that Sarah may be comforted. However, I will leave that open for one day Yahuwah may answer. Saying so, please read the entirety of Jasher 23 if you have a chance, so you may feel the anguish that Sarah has for Isaac's departure. Verse 15 through 17 reads, And she dressed Isaac, her son, therewith, and she put a turban upon his head, and she enclosed a precious stone in the top of the turban. And she gave him provisions for the road, and they went forth. And Isaac went with his father Abraham, and some of their servants accompanied them to see them off the road. And Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off. And they said to her, Return to the tent. And when she heard the words of her son Isaac, she wept bitterly. And Abraham her husband wept with her, and their son wept with them a great weeping. Also those who went with them wept greatly. Here I am taken aback to when Lazarus died and all was weeping, as well as Yahusha. It is only natural to feel sad when a loved one departs from your presence. John 11, verse 33 through 35 reads, When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping which came with her, he groaned in spirit and was troubled, and said, Where have ye laid him? And they said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Verse 20 through 21 reads, And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him up as an offering before Yahuwah, as he has commanded him. And Abraham took 2 of his young men with him, Ishmael the son of Hagar, and Eleazar his servant, and they went together with them. And whilst they were walking in the road, the young man spoke these words to themselves. If we read our Holy Bible, we understand that Abraham had 2 other young men accompanying Isaac and himself. But as you can see, the book of Jasher gives us exactly who is accompanying them. And as you will see in the next passage, why they were not allowed on the mount when Yahuwah appeared. But let's quickly take a look at Genesis 22, verse 3 and 5. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which God had told him. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder, and worship, and come again to you. Verse 22 through 24 reads, And Ishmael said to Eleazar, Now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to Yahuwah, as he commanded him. Now when he returneth, he will give unto me all that he possesses, to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eleazar answered Ishmael and said, Surely Abraham did cast thee away with thy mother, and swear that thou shouldest not inherit anything of all he possesses. And to whom will he give all that he has, with all his treasures? But unto me his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he had desired me? To me will he bequeath at his death all that he possesses. We are giving further information regarding the 2 lads that accompanied Abraham and Isaac, which was Ishmael, Abraham's son by Hagar, and Eleazar, Abraham's servant, both of them desiring to inherit Abraham's wealth, not too concerned that Isaac is soon to be a sacrifice. Verse 25 through 27 reads, And whilst Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man, humble and contrite of spirit. And he approached Abraham and said to him, Art thou silly or brutish, that thou goest to do this thing this day to thine only son? For Yahuwah gave thee a son in thy latter days, in thy old age, and wilt thou go and slaughter him this day, because he committed no violence? And wilt thou cause the soul of thy only son to perish from the earth? Does thou not know and understand that this cannot be from Yahuwah? For Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon the earth, to say to him, Go slaughter thy child. Interesting how Satan showed himself to Abraham as a figure of a very aged man, humble and of contrite spirit. And listen to what he tells Abraham. I must say, I too in my journey in this world have been deceived by logic and a sweet voice. The key is to recognize who and why what is being told to you. Remember what Yahuwah commanded Abraham to do, and look at this old man and what he's asking Abraham to do. Anyone or anything that takes you away from doing what Yahuwah commands you is against you and your Elohim. Please remember that, saints. Verse 28 reads, And Abraham heard this, and knew that it was the word of Satan, who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of Yahuwah. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him, so that he went away. Abraham could only know this old man was Satan, because Abraham knew what this aged man was trying to do, and that is to make him do other than what Yahuwah had commanded him to do. Verse 29 through 31 reads, And Satan returned and came to Isaac, and he appeared unto Isaac in the figure of a young man, comely and well-favored. And he approached Isaac and said unto him, Dost thou not know and understand that thy old silly father bringeth thee to the slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man, and let not thy precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from this earth. Of course, Satan appears to Isaac as a young, handsome man and rich. This would appeal to anyone young. Yahuwah calls Satan correctly when he says in John 8:44, He was a murderer from the beginning and has nothing to do with the truth, because there is not truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Verse 32 through 34 reads, And Isaac heard this, and said unto Abraham, Hast thou heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus he has spoken. And Abraham answered his son Isaac, and said to him, Take heed of him, and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him, for he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commands of Yahuwah. And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them. And seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them. And he went and passed before them in the road. And he transformed himself to a large brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Isaac and his 2 young men reached that place, and they saw a brook large and powerful as the mighty waters. In the book of Jasher, we are given knowledge that Satan can shape-shift, as he has changed himself into a large brook of water. The basis of Satan's purpose remains the same here, to hinder Abraham from accomplishing what Yahuwah has commanded him to do. I must say, this gives me more ammunition to reflect on my own life, to recognize stumbling blocks that are just not people, but can be anything that would take my attention away from accomplishing what Yahuwah would want me to do. So, if you're not sure what Yahuwah has commanded for you to do, pray and look to the Bible. But one thing is for sure, we must love Yahuwah with all our hearts, with all our soul, and with all ourselves, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. We are to become warriors in prayer, by fasting and in supplication and perseverance for self and all saints. We are to learn about our Elohim as Yahuwah's children, so that we may become one with Yahusha. Start here, Yah saints, and he will surely guide you to the end of age. Verses 35 through 37 reads, And they entered the brook and passed through it, and the waters at first reached their legs. And they went deeper in the brook, and the waters reached up to their necks, and they were all terrified on the account of the water. And whilst they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Isaac, I know this place in which there was no brook nor water. Now therefore it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of Yahuwah. Saints, remember from the beginning, the one desire of Satan is to destroy what Yahuwah has created in his own image. Genesis 3, verse 4 through 5 reads, The serpent said to the woman, You are surely will not die, for Yahuwah knows that in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be like Yah, knowing good and evil. Verses 38 through 39 reads, And Abraham rebuked him, and said unto him, Yahuwah rebuke thee, O Satan, be gone from us, for we go by the commands of Yahuwah. And Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham, and he went away from them, and the place again became dry land, as it was at first. Remember, saints, Yahuwah has given us the most powerful name on this earth to use to rebuke Satan and all his minions, and that is the precious name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Use it with 100% belief, and you will see your adversary depart from you. Philippians 2, 9 through 10 reads, Wherefore Yahuwah also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahushua every knee should bow, of the things in heaven, and the things in earth, and the things under the earth. Verses 40 through 42 reads, And Abraham went with Isaac toward the place that Yahuwah told him. And on the third day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which Yahuwah had told him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him, that reached from the earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory upon the mountain. And the glory of Yahuwah was seen in the cloud. Verse 43 through 45 reads, And Abraham said to Isaac, My son, dost thou see in that mountain, which we perceive at a distance, that which I see upon it? And Isaac answered and said unto his father, I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud, and the glory of Yahuwah is seen upon the cloud. And Abraham knew that his son Isaac was accepted before Yahuwah for a burnt offering. Verse 46 and 47 reads, And Abraham said to Eleazar and unto Ishmael his son, Do you also see that which we see upon the mountain which is at a distance? And they answered and said, We see nothing more than like the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before Yahuwah to go with them. And Abraham said to them, Abide ye here with the ass, whilst I and Isaac my son will go yonder mount and worship there before Yahuwah, and then return to you. Here we are given another piece of information, so our understanding becomes a little more clear why the two young men were left behind. Verse 50 through 52 reads, And when they were going along, Isaac said to his father, Behold, I see here the fire and the wood, and where then is the lamb that is to be burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham answered his son Isaac, saying, Yahuwah has made choice of thee, my son, to be a perfect burnt offering instead of the lamb. And Isaac said unto his father, I will do all that Yahuwah spoke to thee with joy and cheerfulness of heart. All praises to the Most High Yahuwah, as knowledge is being poured out to his people. Let us see the added jewel above to our sacred Bible verse below. More honey to our milk. In Genesis chapter 22, verses 9 through 10 reads, "And they came to the place which God had told them of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abram stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son." Verses 53 through 54 reads, "And Abraham again said unto Isaac his son, Is there in thy heart any thought or counsel concerning this which is not proper? Tell me, my son, I pray thee. O my son, conceal it not from me." And Isaac answered his father Abraham and said unto him, "O my father, as Yahuwah liveth, and as thy soul liveth, there is nothing in my heart to cause me to deviate either to the right or to the left from the word that he has spoken to thee." Isaac reflects, as many verses in the Holy Bible will say the same, to neither turn to the right nor to the left and deviate from a path. Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 32 reads, "Ye shall observe to do therefore as the Lord your Elohim hath commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left." Verses 57 through 60 read, "And Abraham greatly rejoiced at the words of Isaac. And they went on and came together to that place that Yahuwah had spoken of. And Abraham approached to build the altar in that place. And Abraham was weeping. And Isaac took stones and mortar until they had finished building the altar. And Abraham took the wood and placed it in order upon the altar which he had built. And he took his son Isaac and bound him in order to place him upon the wood which was upon the altar, to slay him for a burnt offering before Yahuwah." Verses 61 through 65 reads, "And Isaac said to his father, Bind me securely and place me upon the altar, lest I should turn and move, and break loose from the force of the knife upon my flesh, and thereof profane the burnt offering. And Abraham did so. And Isaac still said to his father, O my father, when thou shalt have slain me and burnt me for an offering, take with thee that which shall remain of my ashes, to bring to Sarah my mother, and say to her, This is the sweet-smelling savor of Isaac. But do not tell her this if she should sit near a well or upon any high place, lest she should cast her soul after me and die." And Abraham heard the words of Isaac, and he lifted up his voice and wept when Isaac spake these words. And Abraham's tears gushed down upon Isaac his son. And Isaac wept bitterly. And he said to his father, Hasten thou, O my father, and do with me thy will of Yahuwah, our Yahuwah, as he has commanded thee. And the hearts of Abraham and Isaac rejoiced at this thing which Yahuwah had commanded them. But the eye wept bitterly which the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Isaac, and placed him on the altar upon the wood. And Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father. And Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife, to slay his son as a burnt offering before Yahuwah. Here I have chosen an image contrary to what is fact about Abraham and Isaac, that has already been proved to be with our enemy's own literature. Can you see the lies that have been told to Yahuwah's people? In their eyes, the melanated people of Yahuwah do not exist, hence history has been whited out. Please go to Watchman's videos to see our history regarding the whiting out of all our past. On top of that, we have been given that Isaac is 37 years old. What is this illustration showing? I only hope that you will continue to pray and walk in the Father, so you too may be given the truth. So please do not take my word or anyone's word for it. You must, and I urge you as a fellow sister who is in this trial and tribulation together, that we must put off what our enemy has taught us, and we must ask Yahuwah our Elohim to show us the truth. This requires you to ask him, research, and establish your personal relationship with Yahuwah via our King, Messiah, and Most High Priest, Yahushua HaMashiach. Verse 66 through 68 reads, And that time the angels of mercy came before Yahuwah, and spake to him concerning Isaac, saying, O Yahuwah, thou art a merciful and compassionate king over all that thou hast created in heaven and in earth, and thou supportest them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of thy servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac his son, who are this day performing thy commands. Hast thou seen, O Yahuwah, how Isaac the son of Abraham thy servant is bound down to slaughter like an animal? Now therefore let thy pity be roused for them, O Yahuwah. As it is written, we can see that the holy angels are created to watch over us. We are more than flesh. Psalms 34 verse 7 reads, The angel of Yahuwah encamps around those who fear him and rescues them. Verses 69 through 70 reads, At the time Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham, and called to him from heaven, and said unto him, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Yahuwah in performing this act, and in not withholding thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in a thicket by his horns. That was the ram which Yahuwah had created in the earth in the day that he made the earth and heaven. For Yahuwah had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. Verses 72 through 73 reads, And this ram was advancing to Abraham, when Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket, that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. And Abraham, seeing the ram advancing to him, and Satan withholding him, fetched him and brought him before the altar. And he loosened his son Isaac from his binding, and he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar, and brought it up as an offering in place of his son Isaac. As Satan doesn't give up in restoring us, we too must daily put on our armor of Yahuwah and battle Satan. In 2 Chronicles 20, verse 15 reads, And he said, Hearken ye, all Judah, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, thou King Jehoshaphat, thus saith the Lord unto you, Be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but Yahuwah's. Verses 74 and 75 reads, And Abraham sprinkled some of the blood of the ram upon the altar, and he exclaimed and said, This is the place of my son, and may this be considered this day as the blood of my son before Yahuwah. And all that Abraham did on this occasion by the altar, he would exclaim and say, This is the room of my son, and may it this day be considered before Yahuwah in place of my son. And Abraham finished the whole of the service by the altar, and the service was accepted before Yahuwah, and was accounted as if it had been Isaac. And Yahuwah blessed Abraham and his seed on that day. Do you see the pattern that is formed for our Levitical priests to conduct in the future for atonement of sin for Israel by sacrificing of animals? Verses 76 through 78 reads, And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man very humble and meek. And Abraham was yet engaged in the burnt offering before Yahuwah. And he said unto her, Dost thou know all the work that Abraham has made with thine only son this day? For he took Isaac and built an altar, and killed him, and brought him up as a sacrifice upon the altar. And Isaac cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men who had been with her son and had come to and told her these things. Once again, man's adversary, Satan, doesn't give up. Now he attacks Sarah to make her heart turn from Yahuwah. Verses 79 through 82 reads, And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on the account of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head. And she said, O my son, Isaac my son, oh that I had this day died instead of thee. And she continued to weep and said, It grieves me for thee, O my son Isaac, oh that I had died this day in thy stead. And she will continue to weep and said, It grieves me for thee after that I have reared thee and have brought thee up. Now my joy is turned into mourning over thee. I that had a longing for thee, and cried and prayed to Yahuwah till I bare thee at 90 years old. And now hast thou served this day for the knife and the fire, to be made an offering. But I console myself with thee, my son, in its being the word of the Yahuwah. For thou didst perform the command of thy Yahuwah. For who can transgress the word of our Yahuwah? In whose hands is the soul of every living creature? Thou art just, O Yahuwah, our Yahuwah, for all thy works are good and righteous. For I also am rejoiced with the word which thou didst command, and whilst mine eye weepeth bitterly, my heart rejoices. Here we are brought to joy with our ancestor. As Abraham and Isaac rejoice, so does Sarah in choosing to do the commands of him that is the creator of all. Yes, as Yahusha cried in losing someone here while on his journey, we all know that there is better and rejoicing in the next world to come. Sarah says it eloquently. So my family, I can only hope and pray that we all may be blessed with the same faith, and above all, love for our Elohim. 1 Corinthians 13 and 13. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. Verses 85 through 86 reads, And she came with her maidservants and menservants to Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron, and she asked concerning her son. And she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. And they went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him. And they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man. And he came and he stood before her. And he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto thee, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard the word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on the account of her son, that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. Before, when I read these passages, I thought it was sad how Sarah died. I thought she had died thinking Isaac was sacrificed. It is good to study and reread Holy Scriptures. Now I see that Sarah's death was beautiful, and she was so happy her spirit returned home to heaven at the age of 127. Hallelujah. Verses 88 through 89 reads, And Abraham sought for Sarah, and could not find her. And he made inquiries concerning her. And they said unto him, She went far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone. For thus was she informed. And Abraham and Isaac went to her to Hebron. And when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voice and wept bitterly over her. And Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, O mother, mother, how hast thou left me? And where hast thou gone? O how hast thou left me? Our Elohim has told us to be happy with those who are happy, and to weep with those who weep. Romans 12:15 reads, Rejoice with them that do rejoice, and weep with them that do weep. Okay, saints, let's remember that it is more important that we keep Yahuwah's commandments so that we may all rejoice and praise Him together one day in eternity. But let's also remember compassion, for it is painful to lose those that we love while we're walking on this earth in this journey. So always have compassion. Verse 90 reads, And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on the account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. John 11 verse 35, Yeshua wept. And why we weep for physical loss? Because while we are on this earth, we will miss the ones we love, even though we know we will be in paradise with Yahuwah and Yahusha one day. Though in John 11:35 Yahusha wept for many other reasons, it is no shame to feel sorrow and loss, but we must not dwell on it. Love you, family. All praises to Most High YAH. All the saints, remember, look east and raise your eyes to heaven and pray to Yahuwah and await for our King Yahusha. Till the next time, Shalom. Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise unto Yahuwah, all ye lands. Serve Yahuwah with gladness, and come before his presence with singing. Know ye that Yahuwah, he is Elohim. It is he that has made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For Yahuwah is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. Shalom, saints.